Hey everybody, welcome back to Social Studies. We are continuing with our European explorers. We are in our Social Studies notebook and you are going to need a pencil. We have done Columbus, Cabeza de Vaca, La Salle, and today we are going to start on our fourth and final explorer, who would be Coronado. So I'm going to go ahead and turn in my notebook to here's Christopher Columbus, Cabeza de Vaca. Oh, and here we are putting Coronado. All right, so we are titling our story or titling our author, our explorer, Francisco Vasquez, not related to Mrs. Vasquez, de Coronado. Or just good old Coronado. And there are actually quite a few cities in the United States named after Coronado. And the interesting about him is in our when. So when did Coronado start doing his explorations? Well, he started in 1540. In 1540, right? And he lived in Mexico. And basically 1540, I'm writing these all down and I haven't shared my screen with you. All right, so let's back up a little bit. Francisco Vasquez de Coronado, otherwise known as Coronado, and he started his explorations in 1540. Now, if you remember back to a couple of lessons ago, we were talking about Christopher Columbus, but mostly about Cabeza de Vaca, and he got back to Mexico City in 1536. So 4 years after that, Coronado, who also lived in Mexico, let's use our correct color pen. Coronado, who also lived in Mexico, heard about all of these stories of these different riches and wealth that were in the western part of the country. And guess who he heard those from? Yep, that would be Cabeza de Vaca. So basically, Coronado heard all of these stories from Cabeza de Vaca or from people who had talked to Cabeza de Vaca. And so he started thinking, hey, there's going to be 7 cities of gold somewhere out there in the middle of nowhere. And so he came from Mexico and Spain. He was actually from Spain, but he lived in Mexico at the time when he started his travels. And he went to Arizona. He went to New Mexico. Then he traveled into Texas. And then lastly, he went to Oklahoma. So he traveled quite a few places, and always he was traveling and looking for these 7 cities of gold. He just wanted to make sure he found those 7 cities because, man, if he thought if he could find those 7 cities of gold, he would strike it rich and he'd never have to worry about money again. So one of the big things that he did accomplish was not finding the 7 cities of gold, because there was no such thing as 7 cities of gold. And basically what was happening was they were traveling through, and our Humano lived in that area, right? And they have these adobe villages, and the sun would set and it would hit the adobe villages, and the adobe would take on this little shine and this sheen, and so they'd see way off up there in the distance, it looks sparkly and like it might be gold, so we're going to keep walking. And they kept walking and walking and looking for these 7 cities of gold, and all they were finding were these clay huts made of adobe. So he did not manage to find the 7 cities of gold. However, he did describe the region he traveled through. And the other thing that he did is that he started meeting many American Indian groups. And this was actually a good thing because they were establishing trade with the American Indians. And they were basically becoming friends with them and working with them, living in those areas in order to improve everybody's lives. He was also really good at describing the new landforms he was saying. So not everything was the desert that they had in Mexico. He started describing, the Great Plains of Texas and the wide open spaces of Oklahoma. And it started making people think, hey, we'd love to go live there. We might be able to farm the land there and raise crops, and we wouldn't have to go constantly trying to find food for ourselves. So his big impact on the world was that he created maps. So he created maps, which were very, very helpful for any other explorers who wanted coming along. And many also came after Coronado because they kept looking for those 7 cities of gold. They were sure there had to be 7 cities of gold somewhere out there. And so the maps Coronado created started helping people as they were going through, knowing where he'd already looked. And then they also established new places for Spanish settlements. And we'll actually get into why they wanted the new places for Spanish settlements in a little bit in our next couple of lessons. So just hang on and we will see that. As always, if you need to pause it here in order to, I'm going to zoom in so it might be a little bit bigger for you guys. So as always, if you need to pause it here in order to be able to finish writing down your notes, feel free to do so. Otherwise, be ready to discuss this at our next lesson in class. Have a great day.